Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. I'm your host, Tomás Garza, and joining you from on the road again today. This is so much fun. Cindy and I have been on a road trip for the last 8 days, and I am in Oregon. We're staying with some of Cindy's family here, and we're going right through the workbook for students here on this live stream, as we've been doing for the last few months now. Now, if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. This live stream is all about the spiritual text self-study curriculum called A Course in Miracles. You may be intimately familiar with it. Maybe you're a longtime course student, or maybe you're just curious to find out more about this. Welcome in any case. What we do here on the live stream is we're going through a component of this course called the Workbook for Students, which consists of 365 daily ideas that the workbook calls lessons. It's an idea that you contemplate and, more importantly, practice with select meditations, select practice sessions every day. The purpose of this being to introduce you to these ideas and to integrate them into your life. That's really where the action is here. And this is one of the beauties of A Course in Miracles, is that it gives you something to do. It's not a religion. It's not intended to be a religion. It's not intended to replace anybody's religious or spiritual traditions. In fact, it is quite a fabulous accompaniment to someone's existing spiritual path. So whatever that looks like for you, all of these ideas that we're covering are statements about universal spirituality. They're statements that point us to absolute truth. In other words, the truth with a capital T, God, ourselves, capital S, right? Self, love, whatever you want to call divinity, your divinity, higher power, whatever it is. These statements help point the way, and they are systematic. Everything is deliberately planned and placed. It's all right here, and it's outlaid in such a way that you spend one day on one of these ideas and then move on to the next idea. And it's sequential. What we're doing, in fact, is we're removing barriers in our lives. Barriers to what? Barriers to our awareness of ourself. We're removing obstacles, or if you prefer, we're shedding layers that obscure the truth of who we really are. That is what we're doing with all of these practice periods, is really we're peeling the layers away. They seem to stand between us and the truth of who we really are. And we come to find out through experience that the truth of who we really are has always been there. And these layers are nothing more than illusions, or if you prefer, this visual, which the Course uses a lot, they're like a fog bank. It's literal cloud, and you can walk right through it onto the other side, where there's light shining through. You discover that the clouds were just illusory. They were nothing. Exactly, yes, just like all of these illusions. So that's the backdrop. That's where we are. Thank you for tuning in. Feel welcome to leave comments and questions here on this thread. I check this thread here on Enlightened World Network and on my personal Facebook page several times each day. So if you are catching me live, I will catch your comments here in a few minutes live, which is always fun to have that one-on-one interaction. And if you're catching this on the replay, then I do check the comments from time to time throughout the day. So feel welcome to leave them, and I will see them and I will respond. And we've had some really wonderful dialogue and discussion. That's one of the reasons why we're doing this here on Enlightened World Network, is to create a sense of community, to create a sense of spiritual community, and it's worldwide. We've had people tuning in from everywhere. So here we are today on lesson 115 in the workbook. Now we're in a period of review lessons where we're going back and we're taking 2 lessons that we've covered previously, casting them in a little different light. And there's also some element of repetition in here because as adult learners, quite frankly, we need to hear things over and over and over and over again until we get it. Can you relate to that? I certainly can. I certainly can. So the ideas build on one another. And part of the idea here in the workbook is that after every 20 to 30 daily ideas, lessons, they call them, then there is a review period where we go through a lesson or 2 a day, cast it in a slightly different light to reinforce your understanding. And there are practice suggestions for these ideas as well. Specifically today, the workbook recommends that you spend 5 minutes or so, yeah, roughly, more or less, in the morning and the evening, spending time on these day's ideas and then recite them. It says hourly. Of course, you don't have to do it that way. It's as often as you remember to recite the day's idea during the day. You remember it at 2:17 in the afternoon, recite the day's idea at 2:17 in the afternoon. What matters is that you remember to do it, and you do as many times as you remember to do that. And just reciting these ideas has tremendous benefit. What we're doing is, if you've wondered, we're training our minds. Healing takes place at the level of the mind. The body follows that. Everything follows what we're doing inside. Salvation, awakening, enlightenment, it's an inside job. And if you've never heard this take on it before, this is good. Welcome. All right, so the ideas that we're reviewing today are lessons 99 and 100 in the workbook. Lesson 99, salvation is my only function here, my only function here. So what does this mean? In A Course in Miracles, it means forgiveness. This means forgiving the world. When we do this, when we forgive ourselves, when we forgive other people, when we forgive the world in general, we release ourselves. This is an idea that is central to A Course in Miracles. We've seen it in several different contexts before, and we're going to see it again several more times before we get through the workbook. Probably sometime late this year or even next calendar year in 2022. It's a really critical component. So our function here can be distilled down to forgiving everything, ourselves, other people, the world. If you find yourself unable to forgive certain people for certain things, that's not a problem. You start with what you're capable of right now, in the moment, and you continue to forgive. It's looking past illusions. It's recognizing the truth of who someone else is. It's recognizing the truth of who you are, of who we all are. It's looking past the illusions of the ego. It's looking past the illusion of a physical body. It's looking past the illusion of time and someone that did something to you, say yesterday afternoon. They maybe flipped you off on the freeway or something. If you were driving, maybe they said something nasty to you or said something that you didn't agree with on social media and you were tempted to fight back. Whatever the situation is, we run across many of them every day. Now, our lives can rightly be characterized as one string of these events after another. The question for us then becomes, how do we handle this? because someone's going to say something or write something or post something on social media that annoys you. It's going to happen. And it might happen as soon as you hang up this live stream. Maybe it's happened several times today already. It's you just don't know. It's coming. All you can say for sure is that it's coming. Forgiveness overlooks the error of identifying yourself with the ego. It's important to forgive, blanket forgive. That is our purpose here. That is salvation. Now, forgiveness is an illusion. Why? Because there's nothing ultimately to forgive. We're not broken. We're absolutely healed and whole the way we are. The issue for us in the world is we don't see ourselves that way. So we need help. Enter A Course in Miracles. Enter your teacher, your guides, your spiritual practice. We need help to begin to orient our minds differently, to begin to see things differently. And the Course says in many places that forgiveness is the one illusion that's beneficial to us, why it points us to the truth. It leads us out of suffering, which is where we've always been in the first place. That's why they say, yes, it's an illusion. Ultimately, there's nothing to forgive. But here in the world where we take everything as real, including every perceived slight, we take all that as real and concrete. We need something that will operate along with our current mindset to help undo these illusions, to help us change our minds. It is our only function here. And if you happen to have a really healthy, great physical body, beautiful relationship, maybe a beautiful marriage, you know, some money, cool car, nice house, cash flow, all that. If you happen to have that, great. Our real purpose is to wake up. Spiritual practice, spiritual awakening is our purpose. Salvation is our only function here. Only. Next idea is lesson 100. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. So however you personally conceive of this in your own spiritual practice and thought system, each of us has a role to play, which I think is not something that we can really argue with, can we? It's quite clear that each of us has our own proclivities. We have different connections in the world. We're born into different societies, different parts of the world, different countries, different cultures. We appear to have different genders. We appear to be different ages. Our part is essential, and you can sum it up simply by this. There are people in the world that only you can reach. As soon as you answer the call to awaken, they begin to search for you. Your message will reach them. And in many cases, only your message will reach certain people. So the fact that you're watching this live stream means that you are to work with, to teach, if you prefer, certain people in this life. You're to perform certain tasks in this life, certain work in this life. You can call it your passion, you can call it your purpose. You may know what that is, and you may not. You may still be searching for that. But rest assured that your part is essential to the whole. It is. So my hope in that is that you take this as encouragement rather than onerous. You know, that's the last thing that we need, is to think that we have these special duties imposed on us from without. They're not from without, they're from within. And it's a part of the giant divine master plan. So another way of looking at this, you are critically important to this. So we all insist that you practice. Doesn't have to be A Course in Miracles. It's got to be something, though. Pick what resonates with you and roll with it spiritually. There's plenty to choose from, no question about it. You might take a little bit from this tradition, a little bit from that. It's quite common, it's quite beneficial. But whatever that looks like for you, do what resonates with you because you are essential. Do you not feel like you are? I can tell you, you most absolutely 100% certainly are essential. And these are the ideas for today that we contemplate and practice. Even if all you do is recite them a few times, that is of tremendous benefit in and of itself. All right, so here's one of my favorite parts here where I'm going to bring up the thread here on Enlightened World Network and say hello to everyone that's joining me here today. Now, we literally have a worldwide crew here on the network. Sue, hello. Thank you for tuning in. And Robert, good evening. Good evening. Yeah, Robert, it's been a while. Robert is joining us from Romania, and it's great to have you on. Thanks for tuning in here. And this is so much fun because we've had people from all over the planet here. So if you're tuning in here on the replay, feel welcome to leave a comment or just say hello. Yeah, and if you do, let us know where you're joining in from, because our aim here on Enlightened World Network is to create a global community, and we're doing just that. So again, recapping the day's ideas here from lesson 115 of the workbook. Salvation is my only function here, meaning forgiveness, overlooking the error, the illusion of separation in general. And my part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Your part is essential. So thank you all for taking the time to tune in here today. This is a daily live stream. Now we'll be running a replay tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. I will be on a road trip. My wife, Cindy, and I will be headed back to Arizona, where we live, and I will be showing replays of a couple of these live streams. I'll be back with you live and in person on Saturday. So thank you so much for tuning in today here, guys, and I will see you very soon.